Hello, SOSers. Happy 2021. We did it. We survived. Well, that's debatable. But today is going to be a little bit different. You know, you're just going to be hearing my voice and the voice of my lovely, crazy but lovely parents, Nancy and Ernie. Yep, that's right, my parents. Today's SOS moment that we'll be diving into is simply partnership. I feel like almost every headline that didn't have to deal with the apocalypse in 2020, we're talking about breakups, and a lot of people in my life were also breaking up. So I feel like this is a perfect time to talk about true partnership and patience. Because my parents have been together for 42 years, and as someone who's been married for a year and a half, we have a lot to learn from a relationship like that has such a strong foundation, and no relationship is perfect, don't get me wrong, and they make no claim that their relationship is. And we talk all about that and all the ups and downs, but they have such funny stories about how they met and how they got through those hard times. So, and I also encourage you all to have similar conversations, either with your parents or with anybody that have been together for that long, because it's really eye-opening. And I also encourage our listeners, if you aren't already, to head on over to YouTube, SOS with Molly and Alyssa, and you can see some of our photo albums, and you can put some faces onto the voices you'll be hearing, and that's really nice. So, without further ado, here are my parents. Thank you, my lovely parents, for being here today.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited.
This is going to be fun. Okay, so wait, how long have you guys been married for? 42 years. Wow, so you guys were you were a teen bride and a teen groom. That's crazy. Well, that's what it feels like. So let's first go to the beginning. So where or how did you guys meet? Because obviously you were young.
I got a summer job. It was right after junior year. It was the summer of 75. And a friend of mine told me he was working at an amusement park that I used to go to when I was little. My father would take me, and I would say, when I grow up, I'm going to work here. And so I went and got the job.
Where was it?
It was Adventures Inn in Flushing, Queens. And I worked the kid rides, like the little motorcycles and the boat rides. And I worked there a few weeks, made some great friends, were having fun, great summer. And they kept talking about this guy, Ernie, that something happened to him. He got hit on the head in a play in school. And so he wasn't there for the first few weeks. And then he showed up and they introduced me. And he was cute and he was funny.
So I was my third year there. So my third year, I trained a lot of people. I worked the spook house and some of the big rides. And then the year before, your mother met me, but I didn't meet your mother.
Right.
In the spook house.
Yes.
You want to hear that story too?
That's what I was trying to
All right.
You didn't figure that out until later.
It was a terrible spook house. It was called The Guys to Spook or The Flight to Mars. And it had all holes in there. It was terrible. I would send people away. I said, come back at night. It's not worth your money. And I would go on the inside and scare people. So your mom went on one of the rides with her girlfriends. And I jumped on and I scared them. And I stopped the ride. I do that. And they started screaming, yelling,
My shoulders and shook my shoulders, and I'm screaming. And we didn't know that we were right where the exit was, where the door opens up and you're getting out of the ride. We didn't know where we were. And once he pushed us out, I turned around, saw him, and I said, you son of a bitch.
Not the way you tell the story. Actually, because of all your screaming, I said, please do not come back on my ride again. And you call me a bastard. And you told your boyfriend who wanted to beat me up.
Right. Okay. So how long did it take you to start dating? Did it take long? that year?
That summer.
So did you know when you
were dating and getting back together that he wanted to join the military?
He spoke about it because his dad did a stint in the Army, so he wanted to do it to travel.
When was like the conversation like I'm doing it, I'm joining the military?
We had broken up. Oh. And
yeah. I mean, that was an amicable.
talked.
That was amicable. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
we still spoke. We still kept in touch with each other. And he called me and he says, Nancy, I'm seriously looked into joining the Air Force. I spoke to the recruiter and everything. And I said, well, what about college? He goes, well, they'll pay for college and I'll travel. And they said they can get me Hawaii. And I said, what will you do? And you said you would be a military police or the Air Force version of police. And I said, Ernie, there's no way you're going to deal with them telling you what to do. Because everyone thinks that basic training is military all the time. And it's not. It's just for basic training. And I said, I can't imagine Ernie taking that abuse, putting up with it. And I said, I don't know. And you said, if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. Oh. And I'm
sorry, I don't remember that.
Yes. And he goes, if you say no, I said, Ernie, I can't tell you what to do.
Oh, so you were like, whatever, I like him enough or I love him enough, I'm going to be with him regardless if he's in the military and he might have to be stationed somewhere else.
In between this, that's when he was dating his cousin. He was dating Diane.
He was dating his cousin?
His cousin Joanne's friend Diane, the one that's a pharmacist. He was dating her. I was dating somebody else. We were dating other people. He joined. He wrote me from basic training. I wrote him. He even
got those letters.
Yeah, me too. I
still
have the letters from basic training. So we still kept in touch with each other, but we weren't back together. And then instead of Hawaii, they sent you where?
Panama.
And then let him tell the story. Panama. Let him tell you.
Panama.
And he wrote me from Panama, but
Right, and I was there. I was only there a short stint because I tore my knee out again, and they sent me back to the States to get operated on. And in those days, this was what, January of '78, and tore cartilage in my knee. They sent me back to the States. And I spent about 3 months in the hospital, and instead of sending me back to Panama, they sent me to North Carolina, Goldsboro, North Carolina, a place you don't send somebody that was born and raised in Brooklyn. That place was a hellhole. Terrible.
Shout out North Carolina.
Shout out, yeah, nothing. Forget it.
So I come back from a date, and my mother says, guess who was here? And I said, who? And she said, Ernie. I said, Ernie's in Panama. And that was the last time we kept in touch. When he ended up in the States, he never sent me a letter. We lost touch. I'm like, he's in Panama. She goes, no, he's stationed somewhere else now, close by. And he came by to visit, and he wanted to see you. So I said, oh, my goodness. So the next morning, I called my friend Maureen. And I said, Ernie came. And she's going, do you know where he would be staying? And I said, I don't know, but I did have Alan's phone number because he used to date my girlfriend, Linda. And so I called Alan. He goes, he's staying with me. In fact, he's spending the day with his grandmother in Brooklyn. And then he's got to come back here to get his stuff to leave. So I said, oh, he came by last night and I missed him. He goes, why don't I come and pick you up? And we'll surprise him when he comes get his stuff. I said, oh, Alan, that would be great. So then I told Maureen, and Maureen goes, I want to go with you because she loved Ernie too. And so we both went to, Alan came and picked us up. They lived in Howard Beach at the time. And we were hanging out in his house. And then he pulled up, you had this van, that van. Oh my God, that van with the couch that turned into a bed and a sink and a bar. And It was a van.
A maxi van.
It was a maxi van.
Customized paint job, picture windows. Yeah.
And so we hid in the room where his stuff was. He came in, and you can hear him talking to his parents and saying goodbye to Alan's parents. And he comes into the bedroom, and there it was. And there, and we're just kissing and kissing and kissing. Wow. And then he stayed longer, and we talked and talked and talked. And I knew right then, because after I broke up with him, any guy I dated, I always compared to him. And it was just, to me, that was my moment, my wow moment, my aha. Like, this is it. And so we.
Your SOS.
Yes.
I don't know what that shit is.
Okay, wait. All right. Okay, wait. Just tell me how the proposal went, because it wasn't long after.
All right. So he, because of the hours he worked, he was a military cop. We didn't get to see each other a lot. We talked on the phone. We wrote letters. We already told each other we loved each other. The separation was hard, and if he got stationed somewhere else, I couldn't go because, I wasn't his wife. So I don't know how we did it that weekend, but the day before we left, we had no idea. When I woke up that morning, I had no idea I was leaving with him to get married. And he talked to my parents, and they were like, "Oh my God, okay." And
You were 19?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah, we were both 20. It was October, November of 78. So we both were already 20 years old. I got my birth certificate, my stuff. I think you had $300 in the bank.
I had that much.
Yeah, I had $100 because I had just got paid, and my father gave me some extra money, packed our bags, and and we said goodbye. I called my friends, and we stopped by Maureen's to say goodbye to everybody. And they're like, "Are you crazy? What are you guys doing? What if it doesn't work?" I said, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't. Like, we took a chance. We just went for it.
Those days,
We were wearing jeans, and we were not dressed up for it. And the guy, the clerk or whoever he was that married us, kept saying my name, Gomez, and kept screwing up Razzano because it was a little small town in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Gomez.
Yeah, they don't.
And so then afterwards, there was a big party at the house, and there was a little lake, and they did a 21 gun salute, and we had a really good time at the party. My girlfriends visited me by surprise Thanksgiving a few weeks later. And by then, we're already planning a church wedding, and we were planning it in Florida because your grandfather was in a wheelchair and couldn't travel to New York. So we had the wedding in Florida, the church wedding, which was in January. And by then, we find out that we're expecting. We're pregnant.
So you didn't wear white at the wedding?
Of course I did. Of course I wore white.
Okay, so what was that like, knowing that were you expecting to have Angela right away?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of things because I was working at the time. I was a dental assistant working on Madison Avenue for dentists that TV stars would come to, people from the UN would come to, little girls with their nannies would come with them. And we'd see Broadway shows and go out to clubs. And then we go to this little town in North Carolina. No decent Chinese food. Remember the Chinese?
Nothing decent about that place.
There was
nothing. Tumbleweeds.
One time we were driving home from a friend's house, and we saw a cross burning in the hills.
On the hill, right out
Yeah, they were very racist. You're Puerto Rican. Never met a Puerto Rican before. And they kept talking.
Doesn't that mean it's KKK if there's a cross burning?
There's definitely a lot of KKK there.
Yeah.
That was KKK
We've had
territory.
situations.
It was North Carolina.
I lived, all the places that we lived at, I loved and experienced, and that was the only place that I couldn't wait to get out.
Me too.
We couldn't wait to leave.
But you had Angela there.
So that's where we had Angela. So that was scary too, because we moved out of the house that he shared with his friends, and we got our own place, and that was a trailer near a cornfield.
Yeah.
We had to walk like half a mile to a gas station because we couldn't afford a phone to talk to our parents, and he would work the night shifts, and I'd be there all alone with no phone. And then from there he was changing his career in the military. You were going for combat arms training. From North Carolina, we went to Texas,
Right,
and you had to
Texas.
do training for 2 months for your new job. So I spent a month in New York with Angela, and I spent a month in Florida with your parents, and then we went to San Antonio, and you already found us a house to live off base. We were renting that house off base in San Antonio.
So you guys were starting to move every 2 years, right?
2 years. So we spent 2 years in North Carolina. Then we spent 2 years in San Antonio. We loved Texas. There was shows and concerts and great restaurants, and we go camping, and we'd just spend the what we go to Dallas, we go to Houston. We try to take advantage of seeing.
Texas was nice, things to do and everything else. The job wasn't very good.
You didn't like where you
Because I had trained once I left to be a cop, from being a cop to go into combat arms, weapons instructor. They kept me there, and I didn't want to stay there. Texas was nice, but they put me on the basic training line, so I was training the kids in boot camp, and then from there they sent me out to Camp Bullis to train with the machine gun, the security police that were going to tech school, things that I had done prior to. So now I'm training these people, and it wasn't a very easy job. It was fun. I had a great crew. It was good, but I needed to get out of Texas, and that's when I pushed and talked to my command manager and got to Florida.
which we were
Very excited.
so excited because his family lived in Fort Lauderdale.
And then Germany was after that?
And then we got orders for Germany. And we were trying to have a baby at the time and going through all this process because we were trying for a year and nothing happened. So then we were going through all these tests and stuff. And then we got the orders to Germany. So we said, let's stop and then wait till we get settled in Germany and start again. And Germany was amazing. So we rented this home in this little town, 20 minutes from the base.
Malberg.
And there was a castle that looked down onto the town, and it was really neat. And we learned basic German, thank you, how much is this, and please, and you're well, And Angela, and she went to school on base, but they taught them German, and Angela picked up German very quickly. And we told our family, we're not coming home. Like, we would take turns wherever we lived. One year they would fly to visit us, and next year we would fly to visit. So we're not flying home. So if you want to see us, come and visit us, because we're taking advantage of being in Germany and traveling through Europe. Mm-hmm. And we would just save our money and go, okay, where can we go with this much money? We did it by car, by train, we went to Italy, Austria, Switzerland, Holland, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy.
Austria.
When my parents came to visit, we went to Spain. My father's family was from Spain. And it was also at the time that Angela was making her first communion. So my parents came down to see that. And then we went to Spain. And I was glad to go to Spain with my parents. And then your parents came, and we rented a van. And we went to places where Grandpa was stationed when he was there. And we also went to Belgium and Luxembourg, and we were just on the road. Well, the reason why we left early was because after trying to get pregnant for almost a year, we felt, you know what, let's give this up. It was disappointing, and let's just stop. We're lucky we have one child, and we just stopped trying. And a month later, I'm pregnant. And it's a great pregnancy. Everything is wonderful. But at the end, we lost the baby, and she was stillborn. And the military gives you, what's it called? Humanitarian reassignment when there's a loss. Oh. So we wanted to be as close to family as possible. And I wanted to leave as soon as possible because I had friends that were pregnant, and I didn't want to.
In Germany?
Yeah. And I didn't want to be there when they had their babies. So the closest we can get to New York was
Here at Dover.
Dover, Delaware. So we was stationed here, and it was hard on Angela because she loved Germany, and then the losing the baby and everything. It was a hard move. She was a trooper with the other moves, but this was hard for her. They told us not to even try to have another baby for like a year, but here you go.
And you're like, nah.
I know. It was a high risk pregnancy because of what had happened before, but also other medical reasons. And I was hospitalized twice with premature labor for you, and I was put on a medication on bed rest for the rest of the pregnancy. And then you came.
So how did that
By this time, Angela's 10 years old.
right. So how did that so now at this point we're in Delaware, but we end up moving. I'm 2 years old, so around 91. We moved to Jersey. 92 we moved to Jersey.
Right before your third birthday.
So at that point we end up staying in Jersey.
Now, it was Daddy's last 5 years of his career, and he switched to recruiting. He went from up.
That's how we ended up in
In
Jersey.
Jersey.
Was because I cross-trained into recruiting.
Yeah, and that was a recruiting hub there. So it got us closer to our friends and family in Jersey and closer to Queens. And so again, you don't remember not being around family and cousins and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like in my perspective, I always grew up hearing about these amazing stories in Germany and well, Texas too, and living in Florida. And in my perspective, I felt like all the cool traveling stopped when I was born. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I feel like what was it like for you guys to at that point? Like you were, and it was also a conscious choice because you wanted to stick around so Angela didn't have to move from schools again because that was hard on her.
Well, once we got to Jersey, she was middle school. So we definitely wanted her to finish middle school and high school in one place and not move.
Did you ever feel, was it so different in your lives to like stop the moving process?
I loved it because by this time we're in our 30s and I wanted to settle. I was tired of picking up and starting over again. I used to love it. We would get stationed somewhere. I'd be so excited, and we'd move in. The movers would come. They pack up, and they also unpack for you when you get to your destination. But I'm telling you, within 1 week, 2 weeks, we'd have every curtains up, everything up on the walls. We'd be all settled. And I always tried to make the house, put the furniture kind of like where it used to be in the other house, if it was possible, make Angela's bedroom similar to how it was, and try to give her some normalcy.
You didn't want to do more than 20 years in the Air Force.
No, that was another conscious decision. I was in recruiting, and the reason why I went into recruiting is because while I was stationed here at Dover, I found out that I was number 2 on the non-volunteer list to go to a remote assignment.
What does that mean?
That means they can send me to a place where I can't take my family. And I was number 2 on that list.
How does one make that choice? So they can just be like, oh, was it like because they liked you and they...
No. They just, if they need people in Korea at the time, whatever it was, those are called remote assignments. In other words, the medical care and everything is good for the military personnel, but they don't have advanced medical for spouses and family members and all of that. Very small bases, very limited amount of extras, let's say that. So when I found that out, I said, man, I'm in too long now. The military would still take care of them, but I'd be separated from them from anywhere from 12 to 18 months. And then maybe mid-tour be able to come back to visit and then go back. I went, no, I did enough traveling. And the only way I can get out of that was to cross-train. And I knew that recruiting needed people. So I researched that, and they let me out of combat arms and went into recruiting. And when you go into recruiting, they let you pick where you want to go. So I knew we wanted to come more northeast, and that's when I got stationed. We lived at McGuire, but my office was actually in Willingboro, New Jersey. So
Oh yeah, I remember.
And you already had gotten your degree, and
'92, I got my.
and the recruiting was like a sales school.
Yep.
So it prepped you for outside to do sales.
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing.
Right. So how was that shift like between you guys after leaving the Air Force and starting careers anew, basically?
So his 5 years are up. He's 20. He's retiring, what did you say to me, Ernie, at the end of your 20?
Oh, as far as living somewhere? Yeah, I said, hey, you followed me for my whole career. I'm ready to retire. Wherever you want to retire is okay with me. I can find a job anywhere. I know what I can do. I can get a job anywhere.
So I said, I want to stay in Jersey. I like it here. By this time, Angela's in high school. She's going into her senior year. And you were starting first grade. You already went through pre-K, kindergarten, and it's all you knew. And I liked that area, and again, close to family and friends. And so he's like, "What?" He was not happy. So then we talked about retirement and the state of Delaware. There's no taxes. The cost of living, the cost of homes, and property tax was low. And we felt that our pensions and our retirement plans, that it would go a longer way than if we stayed in New Jersey. So this year, we sold our house in March, and we bought this house in March, right before everything closed down. Right in the midst of it.
So, 42 years together. And all of these different places you've lived, all the different challenges you've faced, all the gray hairs me and Angela gave you through the years.
You were not that bad. You guys
Oh my God.
were not that bad.
We're not that bad.
You guys, you not crazy partying girls that I had to go look for at night or anything. Never got bad phone calls.
Anyway, what were some things, like, to kind of circle back to when you guys first met and everything? What were some things that, like, surprised you about each other after all these years? Something that you didn't think this person was capable of, or like anything that like kind of surprised you of the other throughout these years?
I knew the ups and the downs, and it was, I guess, surprising when you look back at it that, yeah, what we handled what we went through. At the time you go through it, you're not thinking about it because you're dealing with everything at the time. Everything, no matter what it is, moves, this, that, the other. So, was it surprising? I'm not going to say, I can't say, ooh, well, I didn't think I had it in me.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
So you were just super present the entire time. You weren't.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We did things as a team, and we didn't, like he said, at the time that we were going through the ups or the downs, the good times, the bad times, we did it together at all times, and we just were a team all the time. Sometimes we disagreed a lot on some choices, but when it was something serious, good or bad, we went through it. When something happens that I don't know how to deal with, this is my chant that I do. I go, Ernie, Ernie, Ernie. And he may not even be there. And like he's my strength. Mm-hmm. I feel like
Rock.
Yeah, he's my rock. And there have been times that he needed me, and I didn't know that I could do the things that I did when he needed me. That surprised me. And I just felt together we were strong. He needed me in an emergency situation. And when like I said, when I'm like, Ernie, 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 it was Nancy. Nancy had to kick in and do something. And I didn't even think about it until afterwards that I went, holy crap, I did that. holy crap, I can't believe I did that.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I gave my husband a beer, and I just didn't think I had it in.
That surprised the hell out of me. I was like, who the hell are you and what'd you do with Alyssa?
Anyway, what was, if you can remember, marriage advice that you might have gotten back billions of years ago when you got married that you can remember now that like either stuck and you're like that helped, or like, well, that was bullshit. Can think of better advice.
My mother-in-law, who I love very much, and I had no problem calling mom. She told me we were dating, never fight when you're with your family, when you're in a family get-together, because then you're bringing everybody into it. Save it for when you go home. Save it for another time, but don't bring. If you're angry at each other, don't bring it to the table when you're at a family get-together. And she was right.
What about you? Any advice that you can remember?
No advice given to me. I know all my friends in North Carolina told mommy to go back home.
The night before
My
we got
friends didn't
married,
think that I would.
Or marriage material?
Yeah, they knew me as Raz, and they didn't know our history together prior to that. When I said I'm bringing my girlfriend down, and they tried talking, we'll pay for you to go back. You don't want to marry Ernie, don't marry Raz, man.
money to and ready to drive me to get on the bus to go. I said, "Come."
A red flag.
I told first of
It's
all,
not a red flag. Okay, what if Ryan's friends?
they didn't know him.
Okay, what if Ryan's friends were paying me not to date him?
Not to date him, not to marry. It was the day before he was going.
Whatever. We wouldn't be like, I don't know about this guy.
No, because I knew him better than they knew him.
They weren't like my friends like Neil, the guys I grew up with.
They knew him for 2 months or 3 months. I've known him for years. So I'm like, no thanks. And he goes, no, we'll really do this. Get your bag. We'll get in the car. We'll take. There's a bus at this time.
What were you doing? That was so bad.
They
Well, my friends were idiots. They were idiots in North Carolina. They were
roommates, but they weren't
roommates.
really friends.
Right.
All
exactly.
right.
You know, remember when I was dating your mom, all my friends and her friends, they knew us. We were dating.
We would
So,
go out in groups and
you know, so my friends that I grew up knew mom. These guys that I room with in the military just met her. They don't know. They didn't know our history.
And they only knew you for a few months. You weren't even there 6 months. So.
All right.
So
So, knowing that, do you have any advice to, I mean, I'm not technically a newlywed anymore, but I don't know. Like, I feel like half of my first year of marriage was spent in quarantine. It's kind of weird, but we've been together for almost 11 years. So it's kind of like we've been together for so long. But what marriage advice would you now give? Maybe to me or anybody else, because
Well, I just hope that you watched us and you know when we fought and you knew when we got along and you knew when we worked together. And both our parents were married over 50 something years before my parents passed and his mom passed. So we saw them go through the good and the bad and still stick together. And we saw in the military a lot of couples break up because they wanted the good times but couldn't handle the bad times.
they say, like, statistically, the younger you get married, the more likely you wouldn't last. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess your generation is still included in that. I don't know.
But even our generation, we were the youngest of all our friends to get married.
Yep.
My sister, everybody, we were the youngest.
So what was your secret?
We don't know. We don't know. We went in there with no plan. That's the thing. Like, we didn't have the long engagement and planning for the thing, and we just
did it.
Would you say was it maybe is because you both had a unique experience in that you both had strong families? So it was maybe in that you were just like, no, this is what I know. So this is what I'm going to do because this is my duty.
It was by the seat of our pants why we just decided to just get up and do it. Like I said, I got up that morning with no idea that I was leaving with him that night. There was no plan. And then Angela solidified it. Like, made us, like, was like, whoa, this is... And I had babysat kids, but they were like 3 years. The youngest was 3. I never changed a diaper until it was Angela's diaper. And we felt we were grown-ups. We thought we were these grown-ups at 20 years old, but she really made us grown-ups. But here's the thing. I was raised Hispanic in Queens. Dad was raised Italian in Brooklyn. But we had the same...
It's a rap song.
we were raised the same way, Catholic. He had a younger brother. I had an older sister. Like, a lot of the stories we tell each other, even though it comes from an Italian family and a Puerto Rican family, it was similar as well. Do you get it?
Yeah, you guys had strong, similar backgrounds. It was different, but the same.
Yes, we were different ethnicities, but the same story.
Maybe that is a huge
I think so.
help when it comes to courting.
I think so too. And we had the same sense of humor, and we always made each other laugh, right?
Then maybe that could be your advice. Always make each other laugh.
But
I don't know.
we also make each other mad.
But that's It's normal.
To me, because in a lot of ways, he's a lot like my dad was. Very giving and playing with the kids on the floor. You met how Daddy was at all the get-togethers with all the kids, and that was my father. And then my dad had a temper, you get mad and blah blah blah. But then
I don't have a temper. I don't get mad.
That's true. He's a Taurus, and you were a Taurus, and my
Grandpa's a Taurus too.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
mom
God.
was a Leo, and I was a Leo,
And Angela's a Leo.
and Angela's a Leo. And Katie, my niece, who was born on my birthday, and I saw her.
And I'm the only sane one. I'm a Libra. I'm an air sign in this crazy fire earth catastrophe.
You're the only sane one.
JK. I love you both.
I love you more.
Thank you for being here.
We love you, and we're proud of
Love
what
you,
you guys are
babe.
doing.
Thank you.
And I watch you on YouTube every week.
My parents.